Ready? Okay, welcome. Welcome to tonight's City Council Candidate Forum. This forum really is designed to allow the council and the community an opportunity to learn about the 6 applicants that have stepped up to fill our vacant council seat. So if many of you have been following this, this trajectory to get us here tonight, we did have 7 that qualified. We did have 1 that pulled out earlier today for some personal reasons. But we have 6 candidates left with us here this evening. Each candidate has submitted an application and a candidate statement. They've been available for review on the city's website. There is also a copy in the back tonight if somebody here would like to take a look. The forum is being recorded tonight. It is also airing live on Access Humboldt, streaming live at cityofarcata.org, on our YouTube channel, and this is our very first hybrid meeting. We are going out via Zoom and live here in person at Arcata City Hall. Unfortunately, due to the increase in COVID cases here in Humboldt County, this is our first meeting where masks are again required to be worn tonight. Candidates and speakers may unmask when answering questions tonight, however, so we can be sure to hear your answers clearly. The council has developed a series of questions. We've collected questions from an online survey, and we will be taking questions from the public tonight. So those of you that are here in the audience tonight, there are half slips of paper right kind of under the clock in the back. If you would like to write a question that you would like the candidates to consider, please do so, preferably before 6:30, and put them in the bowl that's just adjacent to me here to my right where it says questions in here. We'll take a quick 5-minute break after the council's prepared questions, and we'll shuffle through and pull out ones that aren't duplicate and ask, depending on how much time we have, we'll ask additional questions from the public then tonight. Our format again starts with questions that the council will ask of each candidate. We'll then fill in the public questions, followed by any individual questions that the council might have for one or more candidates, not necessarily for every candidate that's up there. This could be based on something in your candidate statement, something that's shared tonight that they would like follow-up information on. After that, each candidate will have 2 minutes to provide a closing statement. Following the closing statements, we will take a short break. It'll allow the candidates a chance to relax and come off the dais and celebrate that they're done with this, what can be pretty grueling. We'll go easy, of course, but I know it's not easy to put yourself out, and we really appreciate all of you being here tonight. When we reconvene, the council will have taken their seats on the dais, and at that point, we'll take public comment. As I said, this is our first hybrid meeting, so we'll be taking public comment from those here in the chambers, and we will be doing our best to take public comment from right now. I've got 7 people that are attending via Zoom, if any of them would like to make public comment as well. That public comment will show on the screens in front of the dais, as well as the screens here in the chambers. At the close of public comment, the council will determine if they're feeling ready to complete an initial ranking, where they'll have a list of all 6 candidates, and they will be asked to select their top 3 to simply help focus their discussion this evening. And then at the end of that discussion, the council may choose to select a candidate tonight. They could choose to defer the selection to a future meeting, or they could reconsider a special election. All of those options are still available to the council. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is a quick roll call of our sitting council. So Mayor Watson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Atkins-Salazar?
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer?
Here.
And Councilmember Goldstein?
Here.
All right, all present. And to kick us off, we do need somebody from the audience. Our Assistant City Manager, Danette, will somebody from the audience choose a number. That number will select, starting from our left, Kimberly White is number 1, Paul Patino, number 2, Bennett Peralt, number 3, Caitlin Bourne, number 4, Homnat Panta, number 5, and Meredith Matthews, number 6. So the number that's selected will be the candidate that answers the first question first. And then we will rotate. Which way are we going to rotate? This is going to be the trickiest part of the night. We will rotate to the candidate's left, so it'll be to our right. So what's our first number? Number 2. Okay, so Paul gets to answer the first question first, and then the second question will be answered first by Bennett, and then we'll continue to rotate as we go through. If any of you have been to candidate forums, you've seen this format before. So with that, I will turn it over to our Mayor Watson to get us started with the questions. It does. Where are you hearing?
I think that's what.
Oh, yeah. Well, Paul, turn. I think it's just mine.
Do you want me to practice?
Yeah. How long do we have to answer?
Really good question. 1 minute. And one question, you'll have 2 minutes to answer.
You can start it and I'll check.
Brett, was that 2 or 1 minute?
So we'll do 1 minute for each question. The very last question, we're going to give 2 minutes.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
sorry.
All right. One of the challenges of being a council member is considering the needs and desires of individuals and smaller groups, as well as the community as a whole. Often there are differences of opinions and conflicts. What would be your strategy for navigating these situations?
My strategy for navigating community input and feelings of the population is to go out and talk to them. So I'm always on the street talking to everybody about whatever's up, and that's generally the way I get my input, although with the email, the cell phone, people walking by, I get a lot of input other than that. And then how do you decide? Well, you know, try to see as many and talk to as many diverse community members as possible, and then go with my gut. Thanks.
Go to Bennett next.
I would to communicate with the most, try to communicate with the most people and get out there in streets, you know, talk to people all around town and just try to get as many diverse points as possible and try to figure out who is in closest proximity to the issue or what's really happening, and talk to the people who are experiencing it the most or are involved. And just try to get out there and see what the community is feeling and make your decision from that. That's all.
Thank you. Caitlin?
As seems to be the common answer tonight, it would be behoove me to go out into the public and see what they want. Go out to the farmer's market, the crabs game, go out and just sit in the plaza and see what they want. And if it's underrepresented groups, then try to contact them specifically. In order to make a decision, I would first try to look for a compromise, especially if it's a major issue. I feel that compromise can always be found. And if it can't, then I would confer with my city council members and see what they would like to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Go for it. And to go ahead and turn on your microphone. You got it.
Yeah. Right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. So going back to the question, so first of all, we have to make the city accessible to the community members. So probably using different means of communication, using Zoom and other technology. City has its own social media so that it can be accessible to the community. So that's the number one thing. Number two, diversity, inclusion, and exclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need to practice that so that we can hear the community member. We listen to them. Not only we give them opportunity, also we listen their feedback. So that number two, so we need to promote that. Number three, when they give input, feedback, we actually acknowledge that. If we acknowledge that, then people have tendency to come back and help support. Thank you.
Is it possible to read the question one more time?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
And it's there up there on the screen as well. That's okay. One of the challenges of being a council member is considering the needs and desires of individuals and smaller groups, as well as the community as a whole. What would be your strategy?
Thank you. I am a valued member of the community. I am always out and about and accessible. I plan to, if I'm appointed to the council, have dedicated days where you can meet me at the farmer's market. You can meet me to do a community cleanup. I'm always available by email. One of the strengths that I have is that I'm a very good listener. I appreciate that people want to be heard. I plan to attend as many meetings from these small groups as possible so I can get what's important to everybody. I believe that everybody has value and needs to be heard. Thank you.
So I guess first I want to recognize that we are on Wiyot land, and I'd like to say Gudini, which means over the woods or in the redwoods, which also is Arcata. So to answer the question, I think I would first, well, what I want to say is my daughter is constantly upset. I have a teenager, and she gets really upset with me because, Mom, you talk to everyone all the time. I'm in the store. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I am always talking and engaging with people because that's what I love to do. I would use my conflict mediation, dispute resolution skills with those and have those difficult conversations because they're necessary. I would reach out into the public, farmers market, as other people have said. I would take polls. I would go into social media. I would go up in front of the co-op and table. What else could I say? I think everyone else is kind of, it feels a little redundant. We have a lot of subcommittees here, so if it was appropriate, I would attend the subcommittees and get input. I think one of the most important things is to make sure it's equitable and that everyone has a voice.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much for being here. So our next question is, the City Council has set goals surrounding housing and homelessness in our community. If appointed, how would you work to address these issues?
If appointed, I would, I would talk to the rest of the council, and I would look at what we're doing right now to solve this issue in our community, and then I would try to bring more affordable housing and more rent control to keep prices down, and especially with Humboldt becoming a polytech, it's only going to be more expensive, and we need to make sure that people have places to live, have resources, and just need to be on the streets talking to these people and seeing what these people who are actually homeless, houseless, what they really need and what we can do best to serve them.
So if appointed, as stated previously, I would work with the City Council's goals that are already in place, but I'd also look at what other towns are doing. Places such as Fresno. Fresno did this thing where they converted broken down motels into housing for homeless. Now, Arcata doesn't have any of that, but I know that Eureka does. It would be nice to work with them to see what they're doing, because I've heard that they are doing something similar, and see how we can help bring the homeless that live in Arcata to those housing developments down in Eureka and get them a home, get them a bed, get them a place to live, and for those that need help, get help, and those who need job training, get job training. Thank you so much.
Great question. This is a serious problem in our community. So first of all, I would like to make a task force involving different members from the community, and then we analyze what we have been doing and what needs to be done. So we'll work with other city and then implement that plan. Once we have come up with this plan, then we implement it, and we'll focus on training these community members so that they can get jobs. That will solve this problem significantly. Thank you.
Housing and homelessness is such a crisis in Arcata, as well as other parts of California. A quarter of the homeless people in the country live in California, and it's a serious issue here. The fact that we have so many new businesses coming into Arcata with the data center and the Nordic Aqua Farms and the Polytechnic Institute, we are going to see a huge influx of people into the community, and we need to be prepared for that. We need to be able to think out of the box. We need to find ways to use the existing land we have and make creative and good decisions for how we're going to house not just the houseless, but also students, elderly, even the faculty from the college and others. We need to make sure that it's not just a single brush stroke. It is all across the board people that are going to need housing. And, oh.
So I'm on the Planning Commission for 2 years, and my passion is housing, affordable housing, cooperative housing. My master's is in sociology, and my emphasis was in cooperative, affordable housing. I co-authored a publication through UC Davis Center of Cooperatives. I've also done some surveys here locally through Humboldt Bay Housing. I worked with River Community Homes, cooperative housing. What can I say? I feel like, well, I live in Valley West, so I get to see the unhoused every day. So that is also a passion. We do need to do something now. Winter is coming, and I know there's a lot of talk of, well, we need long-term solutions, but we also need to do something right now, short-term solutions, whether it be legal camping. We need to get some ADU going. We have options of doing tiny homes. We can do manufactured homes. We can do condos, entry-level home ownership. And I know I just said a whole bunch of things, and there went my time.
Microphone. Will you please? Yeah, you're okay.
I've looked at Dignity Village, Opportunity Village, and now I'd like to look at the new co-governed villages being set up in Portland. I think that we have property to have a village gated campground for homeless. We have the property. We just need the will to do it. And so we have to assume that we have to pay for somebody to manage it. So that's a city expense on our property. And I don't mean to say we shouldn't do housing. But right now, the big need I see is to get people off the streets in a safe place, and this would be a gateway practice location for when they get in housing so they can be used to working with each other.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Humboldt State University is on the cusp of great growth. How can the city work with HSU and prepare for the polytechnic growth and changes?
All right, so as an HSU student, I would love to get the other students involved in what they like about the community and what might need to be improved within the city of Arcata. Because Polytech has a huge possibility of getting a bunch of new students at the university, and it'd be important that we make them feel as welcome as possible and want to come up to HSU. I would also hold town halls, online forums, Zoom meetings to ask the citizens what they want to do when it comes to the Polytech. I'm a very big believer that the people are what drive government, and so I'd like to hear what they would like us to do. I'd also like to work with the president of HSU on his the statement that he released the other day about working with the city of Arcata to do affordable housing for students and looking to build more for the influx of HSU students that are going to come. Thank you.
Well, I'm a faculty at Humboldt State. I teach business, finance. So HSU is a very important, iconic institution for this city, and we want the growth, but at the same time, we're going to have a lot of challenges. So one of the biggest challenges is housing for a student and the employee. So I think City of Arcata can develop a plan to build more houses that can solve this problem. And also City of Arcata also can be a partner with HSU so that, can work together to make this institution even better so that the whole community can be benefited from HSU's growth. So main issue, addressing housing challenge, and everything else will be automatically, the HSU will address those issues. Thank you.
The beginning of that sounds very much like my candidate's statement. First of all, let me say that I am thrilled and excited for HSU to be a polytechnic. I have children that will be graduating high school, and I will definitely encourage them to go to HSU. I think that one of the great things about a polytechnic is it's going to allow us to keep our workforce in the community. So I really think that we need to work with some of the industries in here, like Nordic Aqua Farms that is already working with CSU, with College of the Redwoods to have a program for them. We need to really make sure that all the students that come here are going to stay here and will retain that talent. I also believe that housing is very important. The population of Humboldt is going to explode, not just with students, but with faculty. We need to be ready for that. We also need to talk about the transportation that these students are going to come in with, and we need to find cleaner ways to help these students get around.
So I guess I want to go back to housing. If this is going to, in 7 years, we're going to double our population. And so we definitely need to collaborate with the university. We've missed some opportunities, but it's time to move forward. I think that we can do better, and I know we will in the future. I think we need to better also utilize the talent that we have at HSU. A lot of times we're hiring consultants, and we have an incredible wealth of talent there that is being underutilized. Also, everyone knows that if you try to go get a medical specialist or even just a doctor, it's a big challenge. So I think that's another thing that we need to start looking at now. We have some time. We need to start bringing in some medical professionals, and then they need housing as well. I belong to CERT, which is the COVID Emergency Response Team Housing. I've been attending this now for a little more than
Yeah, when I think about housing, I look at HSU's opportunity to build the village at Craftsman Mall. So as they have this massive growth, Craftsman Mall's 1,000, 2,000 student location possibly, and since the HSU has bought it, now we should encourage them to build it. And that would help a student population as far as future housing. But for what we have today in Arcata, one of the biggest issues I find as a community member and somebody that people come to a lot about their issues with landlords is we need to get our rental code inspection program for long-term rentals and require business licenses for people that own them, just like we do with Airbnbs. So clean up what we have and get them to build their big project.
With Humboldt becoming a polytech, the biggest thing, as super redundant, but is going to be housing. If we're going to bring almost double the population of the school, almost, it's already hard finding housing here, so that I think is, of course, the number one goal to prepare for that would be to try to get shovels in the ground and start, making change happen and building housing. And yeah, I think it will be a great opportunity for the community, and Humboldt State is an incredible place, and it's only going to get better. So I'm excited for that, but the housing is a huge issue, and yeah, we need to, if Humboldt State has the land, we need to encourage them as much as possible to start building, because students are going to start coming soon.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your stance on defunding the police? What changes, if any, would you like to see in the Arcata Police Department?
I think we need to support our police to make our community more safe. So I think defunding police is not a good idea. But we need to make some improvement how these police officers can serve the community more equitable, inclusive way. So maybe we can do more recruiting, police officers from different community, so that it can be more inclusive. They can provide more support to the community. So in short, I don't think we should defund the police. Thank you.
As a member of the Economic Development Committee, one of the things that we've looked at very closely is the Plaza Improvement Task Force, and one of the main things that's important to Arcata is safety. I have listened to several people that have been on police ride-alongs and have been really concerned with the fact that sometimes in the evening there's only 3 officers on duty and they're all concentrated in one spot. I have children that are going to start driving next year. I have children that are going to be riding their bikes to school. I would like to know that there are police that are keeping the public safe at night when driving. I think it's very important to choose our battles. I spend a lot of time on the plaza in the evenings, and I've never felt unsafe. I think that we need to choose where we put our police officers and also do some training on diversity and inclusion and making sure that our police officers are given.
When the timer runs out, you can quickly finish your thought. So it's okay.
So right now they're utilizing MIST, which is a mobile intensive response team. And what it is they have 4 days a week. They're having this behavioral health unit. They have case manager, and then they have a behavioral health person. And I guess my first question would be to APD is how many times are they utilizing that resource, and how many calls do they get that, in a particular week that they are able to utilize that? I think that we have a huge gap right now in adolescent youth. So I know that the MIST is for adults that have had prior law enforcement engagement. So I think that we need to have some training with the adolescent youth. We could be using a kiosk out in Valley West. And I guess right now I feel like services is what need to be implemented, not more policing. I'd like to see more services, more behavioral health, mental, SUD treatment, etc.
Generally, when we talk about defunding the police, we're paying for what we get right now. So I don't see that we have a big bunch of money to move around. But I think that we should take some police budget, and it doesn't have to be a lot. Take some of that, and it goes directly over to DHHS to house the chronic homeless that are on our corners. There's no place for them to go. The county needs a Semper Virens number 2 for the population that don't fit in number 1 and that are laying around on the street all day because they are not able to take care of themselves. So the city passed some money to DHHS to do that, and then I think that we need to possibly increase funding to have a walking patrol on the plaza. It's a real effective thing, and I think that it's important for us to bring that back.
I think it's super important for us to look at the police budget with intense scrutiny and make sure that every dollar is being spent in the most effective way. And especially, I know that our police officers are interacting a lot with the houseless and people on drugs and other things. So that I think it would be, I'm stumbling over my words a lot, but people need to have the adequate training and resources to be able to de-escalate situations and to be people that the community looks at and wants to engage with them, instead of people being like hating the police officers. So I think we need to look at their budget and with intense scrutiny and make them more community members instead of force people don't want to interact with.
So I know this is a very thorny issue across the country right now. I am in favor of defunding the police if there are plans in place to replace what they do. As mentioned earlier, mental health counseling, having people who are trained in de-escalation techniques that are non-violent going out interacting. When people see a police officer, it's kind of an automatic reaction. You're kind of a little like, okay, this guy's got a gun, this guy's got some stuff. But if you send someone who knows how to talk someone down, you're gonna make sure that no one gets hurt and people are more likely to listen. If any changes I would like to see would be that, exactly that, have there be behavioral people on board to help the police officers learn how to not escalate to violent situations, as well as making sure there's more on the force to send out for those situations. Thank you.
And while we're answering or asking the next question, we're going to try to at least shut down these terminals to see if that makes a difference in the sound. I'll just test it here. We'll see. We'll see how that works. Okay. Yeah.
All right. We're now on question number 5. How can we make Arcata a safer and cleaner community? And I believe it's to you, Mr. Ponta.
It's to Meredith.
I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. It's Meredith.
I think community is the big word in this answer. I think it basically takes a village. You know, there are so many wonderful people out there doing cleanup. There's Valley West cleanup. There's Wildberries cleaning up Northtown. There is Pack Out Green Team. I've been on those cleanups. And I do think that one of the wonderful things about Arcata is that we are a community. And I would really encourage getting everybody more involved in these cleanups to foster that sense of community. As far as a safer community, I feel like we're pretty safe. I leave my door unlocked most of the day. I feel pretty comfortable and safe in Arcata. I do think that we do need to do some cleanups. I think some of our businesses should probably have some have the onus of cleanup on them as well.
So we just did a great big Adopt a Park, Carlson Park cleanup on Sunday, and it was a huge success. It was out in Valley West, and I have been involved with the Valley West trash cleanup for, I don't know, since its inception. It was really exciting to see the park filled, and people did feel safe. I guess my big concern is I have a teenager. I won't let her walk even to the Dollar Tree at night because it isn't safe. We're kind of the other Arcata. So I guess for me, it's almost two questions. Like, we need to deal with both Valley West and Arcata. And in order to make it safer, again, we have to go back to housing, because a lot of these unhoused individuals have mental health issues, and they have substance abuse disorder, and we don't have any services for them. So when we can deal with that, then it will be safe, and I will allow my daughter to walk to the Dollar Tree at dusk. We need to make it cleaner, and we need to have the whole community needs to pitch in.
I'll go back to having a foot patrol on the plaza and bring back the bike cop. I think that having somebody on the ground around town, especially plaza or any other location where there's a lot of tourists, a lot of people, having that that cop there, and their car parked at the station, and they walk or ride the bike over to the location and hang out for a couple hours. I think something that occurs that it kind of gets to me is in front of a business or a home, there'll be a bunch of trash in the street. And I look at it and think, the city could encourage business and homeowners to clean up in front of their own places, which we all should probably have been doing all along. So when I look out and it's dirty in front of my house or my neighbors, just pick it up, and if we all did that, it'd be a clean place.
Coming together as a community to go out and pick up trash and clean up and just have pride in our town and make it as beautiful as it really is. City council should be encouraging people to do that and having places, more public trash cans around town, more public bathrooms. There's only that one right up the street, and a couple more of those could be good. A safe box or something to put used needles in. I know that people coming across that is not safe. That's not clean. So yeah, we need to have more resources so people aren't trashing the place, but we also need to encourage it and put some money into that.
Sorry about that. Glasses and masks don't really make good friends. So I would like to make Arcata safer by, again, as mentioned, use needle deposit boxes. And while I know we don't want to encourage those who are homeless or using to use, we can't exactly stop them. So having safe places for them to dispose of the products would be nice. I would like to make it cleaner if I am appointed to council, I myself will lead a weekly cleanup. I'll go out to the plaza, I'll go around Arcata and just pick up trash. And I would go on social media. I think that's a big idea to do, is to advertise on social media, get it out there, get the word to the community, and have them join me and just picking up the community and just having that pride in Arcata to make it better. Thank you.
Well, this question has two parts. Number one, safer, and the second part is cleaner. So first of all, to make the community more safer, I would invest more money on training, on equity, diversity, inclusion to the police officers. Work with other cities, how they are training their officers to make them more involved in the community. It's not only, making somebody like scare of police officer, but also, they are a part of the community. So how can we make them more inclusive in the community? So that's number one thing I would do in the city. So making the cities cleaner, we have city code, but I don't think it's implemented equitably because, somebody next door is cleaning, maintaining the house, but other person is not doing that. So cities spend more money cleaning the public property and then enforce the city code and more regularly. That will make our city safer and cleaner. Thank you.
Great, we're now on question number 6.
What ideas do you have to build a stronger economy in Arcata?
I think we're starting with Kimberly.
I think that, again, it goes to housing. And we can also work in dealing with our climate change and emergency, because what we can do is start building greenhouses and creating green jobs. And that in turn is going to help the economy. We also could start, Humboldt County has the highest the more per capita artists. And I think we could really do something with that, in particular that we have a university here, so maybe we can do some collaboration, create a website. In San Francisco, they're marketing street art. We used to, when I first moved here, we were cutting edge, we were innovative, and I think we've kind of gotten away from that, and I think we can return back to that. And bringing in new ideas, especially since we have this university, start coupling with the business department and start bringing in together stakeholder meetings and
So for a stronger economy, I look to what I do. I'm a one-person business. I'm never affected much by anything that goes on in the economy because I'm in control of it. So individual entrepreneurs is what makes a city strong. Not one big business, but thousands of individuals. And I think that we can relax our permit process for entrepreneurs, small businesses, and even street vendors. We also could set up a new small business loan program that's easy for people that are not a business that has an accountant, a bookkeeper, and that's got some kind of financial help. And I think that it could be one of those programs where you get $10,000 or $15,000 and it's forgiven after you get into business and you stay in business for a couple of years. Thanks.
Going back to what was said earlier, but housing, yeah, people want to live here and people want to create businesses here. People love it here and more people want to come here, but the housing is I would say the biggest issue. And if we had space for people, they would come. But also I know that there are some regulations that are keeping. I met a guy on the street who wanted to open a tattoo shop, but there's certain zoning, so he couldn't open one without being right next to the other one. And just, if people want to start their own businesses and are artists, why are we getting in the way of that? You know, we should be supporting that. More art around town, just making this an even more desirable place, and I think the money will come with that. Thank you.
So I have two ideas for this. I think the economy starts with a solid base of people. People are what drive the economy. People are the ones who put money into the community. So in order to help people put money into the community, I think that Arcata City should help people get jobs, set up resume workshops, show people how to do it. Oftentimes, especially students, don't understand how to create a resume. When I used to work for EDD as a youth employment specialist, a lot of people don't know how to make resumes. That would be instrumental. And then once you have that, you work with your local businesses, you set up things like job fairs and town halls, and have people come and try to get jobs with these businesses. And while that may be kind of cost effective, it would be worth it in the end to give these people jobs so they can put the money back into the economy. Thank you.
Well, there are two parts in this question. Number one, the population growth plan. I mean, a lot of students in our community, they graduate and they leave the community and they never come back. We are not able to attract people from around outside the cities. So what plan do we have to attract more population in the city? Because if we don't have people, how can we promote the business? Business needs more buyers, and then we can promote employment opportunities. So we can collect the revenue. So first of all, I think we need to focus more on how to grow as a city. Number two, I have seen all the cities in the US, like they grow because they have iconic institutions like college or business, something like that. We have HSU. What do we do to promote HSU to become like high quality institution? What do we do to bring more business in the community? I think if we do that, then we can solve this problem. Thank you.
A strong and resilient economy is something that I'm very, very passionate about. As a board member for the Arcata Chamber of Commerce at our board retreat a few weeks ago, we really discussed revitalizing, innovating, and including in our mission statement to try to build a stronger economy. We need to let people know that there's money available for small businesses. We can utilize the SBDC, the AEDC, and the chamber itself. The chamber holds workshops all the time. Cooperation Humboldt, who I am involved with, has workshops on workers' collaboratives and just empowering people to take their ideas and innovate them. And I see us more of an idea incubator that allows people to come and filter their ideas through us and then remove the barriers and make it easier for them to innovate. I think that is very important. Thank you.
Okay. So if appointed, how many hours per week are you willing and able to dedicate to the job of being a city council member? Ooh, I can't even say my own.
Well, having done it before, I usually look at it as being a 20-hour-a-week job, and usually it ends up being 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that's a little more than that. I think the hardest part of it is scheduling my time. So I have a business, I have a life, and I got city council. So I found over the last few years I divided my day into thirds, and I could give that 4 hours to everybody, myself, the city, and my business. Usually council members are on other committees and other things that they have to look into. So I think that 20-hour week is like a sort of a minimum if you're actually being involved in things. So thank you.
I think 20 hours a week is pretty reasonable, but also I have my cell phone on me at all times. I'm always walking around. I'm always seeing people. So at any point, really, I want to do this. I want to bring the power to the people and be their voice. So I would be all of my time, I would be interacting with people and trying to figure out what we can do to make Arcata a better place 24/7. But 20 hours seems good, but yeah, just stay available and set up meetings anytime anyone wanted to meet with me. We could always figure something out. I'd be super available, so I would dedicate as much time as I could. Thank you.
I am lucky that I am in a position as a student where I can dedicate as many hours as possible to the city of Arcata. I would be willing to do upwards of 30 hours a week. I would be willing to be here all the time if need be. And thanks to COVID and doing online classes, I've had to learn how to schedule my life. So I made sure all my assignments were due on time. I had to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do as president of the Redwoods Associated Students, and a couple other odds and ends. So I've gotten really good about making sure I schedule my time so I can spread my time evenly. So again, up 30, 40, however many you guys need from me. Thank you.
Well, this is a difficult question. It's very hard to say specific hours, but I'm a faculty and my schedule is really, really flexible. So I can serve the community, City of Arcata as a council member. It's needed. So I would say at least I can put 20 plus hours. But as I said, I can be available most of the time. Thank you.
So right now, I do all of the things. I am a board member for the Arcata Chamber of Commerce. I chair the Economic Development Committee. I admin the Humboldt Foodies Facebook page. I am a full-time worker. I have a family. I attend several meetings all the time. I'm very lucky that my work is very supportive of me, and my family is extremely supportive of me, and I have excellent time management. And I'll give up most of those things to be a council member because it's that important to me. I feel like I respect my work-life balance, but I also truly love Arcata and am willing to dedicate the time to make sure that the citizens are heard. So I've talked to several members of the council. I know kind of what their days and their weeks are like, and it's completely attainable for me. Thank you.
So I'm already volunteering my time. I'm already doing it. I just am not getting the stipend for it. I'm a planning commissioner. I am involved with CUNA, which is Community North Arcata. I am on several housing boards. I'm an admin for the Valley West community page. These are all volunteer. I've been working on various committees. I will do whatever it takes. I'm already in it. I'm all things Arcata, and I would be honored to put in whatever you guys need me to do.
Thank you. We're now on question number 8.
Okay, so Bennett, you're starting with this one. Council members receive many calls and emails from constituents. How would you prioritize constituent correspondence?
I would definitely have to take that pretty on an individual basis, but if, say, there's going to be a council meeting tomorrow and there's something on that we're going to talk about at the meeting, I would prioritize that. But everyone's voice should be heard, and I'm not going to put people over based on what standing I think they have in the community. Yeah, I would just try to get stuff as it comes, but also prioritize based on time and what needs to happen in the moment. And yeah, just try to stay on top of everything and make sure I'm hearing everyone's voice and giving them the time that they deserve. Thank you.
So to answer this, I do have to bring up that when I was in the service, I was a combat medic. And as a medic, you learn to triage in high-stress situations. And while technically these are not high-stress, life or death stakes, I would treat them as if they were to me. I'd prioritize by need, how soon they're needed, what they need, and if we are discussing it in a city council meeting at the next possible meeting, or if I was going to a committee where I'd be discussing it with them. It's important to me that everyone's heard. As I've said in my candidate statement, I'm a firm believer that people are what drive government, and people need to be heard in order for it to work. So I would do my best to answer them all, if possible. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I've been teaching for the last 12 years, and one of my biggest job is to communicate with my students. I use social media. Usually when I'm teaching, I have my learning management system, so I can communicate with my students regularly, anytime. So that makes me very successful in my profession. So I think I'm going to continue doing that. Maybe I'm going to maintain a social media to communicate with my community members, and will be available to answer their questions as soon as possible. Thank you.
So in my current position, I talk to people pretty much all day, every day, and I'm really good at it. I've been commended on it a lot. I know how to listen, and I know how to make people feel heard and how to make them feel validated. I would definitely make time to talk to anybody that called me, and I also am really great at answering emails, and I also know that we get, as a council member, a lot of support from the city manager as far as how to answer some of the more complicated emails, and I definitely want to be thoughtful and deliberate about the way I answer calls and emails, so I would make sure that I have prior knowledge to what I'm talking about before I answer those emails and phone calls. Thank you.
So, like some of the other candidates stated, that if there's something emergent that's coming up on city council, I would obviously address that first. Otherwise, it's first come, first serve. I love engaging with people. In addition to people calling and emailing me, I'm likely to reach out to the community and ask them about particular issues that are going to be coming up on the agenda. Yep, I think that's about it.
I've got a rule of always respond. And, you know, I've served with, I don't know, a dozen different people on city council. And the biggest constituent complaint that I hear is they didn't call me back. I said, I don't care who it is, I'm calling you back. So always respond in order of the call, and if you can't get them by email or telephone, get their address and go to their house. I go to people's houses and knock at the door and say, look, you emailed me and I can't get through, I'm not getting a response, so let's talk. Another method that works well for me is let's meet, have coffee, or whatever, and I find that really helps in a lot of situations because people don't always want to write an email and say all their stuff. So, thank you.
All right, we're now on question number 9, the last question before we get to questions from the public. What do you see as the biggest issues facing Arcata today, and what solutions would you offer? So this question, you will get 2 minutes to respond. And again, what do you see as the biggest issues facing Arcata today, and what solutions would you offer?
So I see the biggest issues that are facing Arcata today is the COVID-19 crisis and the fallout that's come from it. Oftentimes we've been stuck inside for months. We haven't seen our family. We've had to wear masks, which are not all that fun. And we're also seeing a rise in cases, unfortunately. The solutions I would offer would be to re-mandate masks. As much as that is not a popular solution, the safety of the majority outweighs the comfort of the few, in my mind. And I'd rather have people safe than people dead. Another solution would be to, I know there's a lot of vaccination clinics already. They've been in front of the Crabs game, they're at the farmer's market every day, or every time it's happened. I would just try to talk with people who are reluctant to get the vaccination and try to see if I can change their mind, or at least bring to light that it's not a bad thing. Another situation that's going to happen is the fact that the economy's kind of taken a fallout because of COVID-19 and having to work from home and businesses being shut down. It's important to me that we start to have a recovery plan in place. Even though it seems like there's no end in sight, eventually COVID-19 is going to end. Eventually we're going to have to get back to normal. And I'd like to work with the council to come up with a plan in order to bring our community back to the full, open, no masks, everyone vaccinated as soon as possible. And yes, COVID-19 kind of threw us for a loop, and I'd like to bring the city out of it. Thank you.
All right, as far as the biggest issues City of Arcata is facing, in my opinion, is one of the major problem is declining population. So what can we do to promote this community, like more people coming from outside? can we offer some incentive so that people migrate to our city, so that we can support the business. So that's the number one thing I would like to discuss with the community members and come up with a plan and policies. The second issue I see, it's a medical facilities. I see a lot of community members, they have to go to San Francisco or bigger cities to even get the small help. Even myself, it took me 2 years to get a doctor. So I think that's a serious issue. What can we do to promote more medical facilities in the community? So maybe program policies and plans, towards promoting more and more healthcare facilities. That's number two. Number three, employment opportunities. I think there are very few employment opportunities. I had my relative, she came here and stayed with me for a long time. She could not find a job and she had to go to San Francisco. So that's the major problem. How can we make our community more live? We have to have more employment opportunities, promote more business, and finally, housing and supporting the community who are suffering from COVID-19. A lot of families, they have lost jobs, they have lost family members. So how can we support them? How can we help them to come out of this big crisis? So these are the priorities I think I should do to solve the problems. Thank you.
I think that the biggest problems that are facing Arcata right now are sort of like a domino effect. So the first problem is housing, right? We have a population that is exploding with people being able to work remote. Of course, they'll want to move here because it's beautiful. We have housing because of the Polytechnic Institute, so that's great. So now we have to figure out where we're going to build these houses. We're going to have to be very creative and deliberate as far as where all these houses go. Once all these people move here, the next huge problem I see is transportation. The influx of population is going to bring a huge influx of cars, of greenhouse gas emissions. I was looking over our climate action plan, and 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions is from transportation. So we really have to be strategic about other ways to get around Arcata, to get people from their houses to campus, to get people from campus to downtown. We need to be investing in better infrastructure for transportation. We need to make bike lanes bigger. We need to invest in electric buses. We need to have the scooters that people can rent, or bikes, electric bikes that people can rent, because we cannot have that many cars in Arcata. It's bad for the environment. Climate change is a huge problem that's going to get even worse. And once we have all those houses, now we have an overtaxed sewer system that that we're going to need to look at. So all of those, I think, are the biggest problems that Arcata is facing today.
So the biggest issues are housing, and the unhoused. Again, words matter. I think we should stop calling it affordable housing. There's been a lot of talk about, should we call it maybe workforce housing, that would combat some of the NIMBYism. And also, what kind of housing, when we say we're going to be building affordable housing, people are like, oh no, it's going to be the projects. We need to let people know that it's the working professionals. It's going to be families. And also, one of the big problems is we don't have medical providers, but if we attract them, where are they going to live? We need student housing, we need faculty housing. And then let's just go on the other side about the unhoused. You know, Valley West is often the first place that tourists, prospective students, and families see. And it's not a pretty picture right out there. And I really want to keep it positive, but you know, that's reality. Take a drive out there, you will see it. There are encampments on private property, Wells Commercial on the corner of Valley West and Valley East. Just, they commandeered it. when we just adopted the park out in Carlson Park, it's not safe to go in the back. It's our river access. So, these people have nowhere to go. We can't just shuffle them along and say, move along. Where do they go? We need to have some compassionate solutions. And we have identified property. We have city property. Now we just need to figure out which is going to be best suited. I think the problem has always been infrastructure. So, we can figure out what housing, where we're going to house it, but then we need to come up with who's going to run that. And now we have a lot of business organizations that are seemingly overextended, so we need to figure that out and come together as stakeholders and deal with the housing issue, both the housing for affordable housing, workforce housing, and the unhoused.
I look at our chronic homeless population as being like the premier issue in Arcata, in my mind, because it's not just Valley West, it's everywhere. And I think that until we actually address that problem with, my solution is a homeless village, a gated community, similar to Dignity or Opportunity Village or one of the co-governed villages they're starting in Portland. I think that it's something that we need to try. I've talked about it for like 15 years, so it's been around for a while. I think that we need to be honest about it and say it will take either a city employee or money from the city to pay for an on-site person to be there, to help the governing, to help manage it. And I think that that's for people that don't have the cars and the RVs. And we go, oh, well, what about them? Well, maybe we could have a safe camping, parking location for people that they're stuck here. They move their vehicle from 5th Street to 6th Street to 7th Street to 8th Street. I mean, we know them. We see those vans or trucks or RVs just move all over the city. And I think it would really help if we had a place where they could be that has water, sewer, and facilities, maybe internet also. I think that this chronic homeless issue filters down to all the neighborhoods, and probably if we looked at police calls, it's probably a majority of our police calls are addressing somebody who's got their pants pulled down and is drunk on the corner.
As I said before, I think housing is the biggest issue in Arcata, and as I've said before, with more people coming, it's only going to become a bigger issue. So I think it's incredibly important for us to put shovels in the ground. I know there's spots all over town that we could be infilling the city and bringing more people here, which would be have people in homes and being part of the economy and being part of the community. We definitely need a place where people can safely sleep, a camping spot or something like that. I also know that Humboldt Bay sea level rise is happening faster here than most places, and I think it's super important that we fortify the marsh more and we are taking the steps for what tomorrow is going to look like, because we can predict it, but we need to be present and be doing things sooner than later. So I think that's some of the biggest issues, and just more resources to help get people off the street and turn Arcata into a better place. And what someone said earlier about Valley West being the first place people see when they come to Arcata. I toured Arcata, I saw Valley West, and I was like, I don't want to go to Humboldt State. And then I ended up going and loving it because I never went back down over there. And so we need to make every part of this town as great and special as this town is. So yeah, I think housing, #1 priority.
All right, we're going to take a short 5-minute break and collect some questions from the public, and then we'll come back and finish. So if you want to use the restroom, get some more water, stand up, stretch, this is the time. All right, welcome back, everybody. We have 5 additional questions that came in from the public that we will ask, and we'll start with HomeNet. And the first question is, and again, we'll do 1 minute per question. What are some tangible, immediate ways to increase public transit ridership beyond new electric buses and providing free vouchers to residents? Whenever you're ready.
Well, this is a very difficult question for me, at least. So how can we increase transit ridership besides new electric buses and other vehicles? So, well, probably, we have more the bike lanes. We can promote that so that, we can achieve 2 goals. We can have more transit opportunity, but at the same time, we also have to make them safer because, I have seen a lot of instances where people are killed because they are not safe. So number 1, having more space for bike riders. Number 2, incentive for maybe, electric vehicles. That can make our environment more safer. Maybe these are the things I can think of right now, but I'll definitely do more study. Thank you.
So this is kind of a catch-22, right? So we want people to ride on transits, but we can't do that until we extend, the routes and the frequency that the buses go, and we can't do that unless we have more people riding the transit. So we have to, I do believe, increasing the routes and the times that the buses go. One of my colleagues who lives in Arcata takes the bus to work every day to Eureka, and I really applaud that. And I think maybe on social media featuring like a rider of the week or doing something that tells like a personal story would be wonderful, but it is something that we definitely need to stress more. I don't know, maybe Shoshana can put an otter on the bus and in a ball gown, I think that would be a wonderful idea.
So about 18 months ago, I returned to HSU to fill in some gaps in my education and decided to park my car and ride the bus. And one of the challenges was that there just wasn't enough routes, times that were coordinating with my classes. So I would find myself sitting on campus waiting for an hour, sometimes two, till the next bus came. Also, because I have a fused ankle, the bus didn't always bring me to where I was going, and so I would be hobbling down, the street trying to get, to where I was going. So I feel like we need to have more frequent bus stops, more convenient routes. We also need to clean up the bus stops. They even took the backside of the bus stop so that the transients couldn't use it, but I'm seeing these disabled folks and elderly folks in the pouring rain because there's no covered bus stop or a back and the wind is just blowing through. We need to, and bus riders have nowhere to sit because it's a sleeping place.
I've been hearing about something that I consider new, and that's free bus. Currently our buses are subsidized at around 90% subsidy. And so, getting a free bus, getting that 10% paid for is not a giant problem. And if the bus is free, you don't have to worry about your tickets, any kind of voucher, any of that. I think that that's a direction that we should go to. And also, looking at the routes, a serious look at the routes and make it so Valley West to the Plaza is a constant all the time. Sunnybrae to the Plaza. Most of the community, the resident community that are not students, don't use our buses. And one of the reasons they don't use them is that they are inconvenient. Thanks.
Yeah, the bus system is failing. Or when I used to live out on Q Street, it would come at the weirdest time, and I could walk there and be faster. It would be faster than taking some weird route on the bus. So definitely, we need to look at the routes and more buses. I guess I don't know how immediate that would be, but yeah, encouraging people to take the bus. Maybe every fifth ride is free or something like that. But yeah, it's a system that's not being used by the majority of people. I know tons of people in town who have never used the bus, and just because it's inconvenient and people just aren't enjoying it. So I think the routes and potentially making it free would definitely get people on there and actually be using this, or else it's kind of a waste of money. But the people need transportation like that.
So I feel that the immediate goal would be to make sure the buses are practicing safe COVID techniques, because people don't want to ride the bus with a crowd of people. It's not safe right now. So maybe working on sanitizing techniques, temperature checks, making sure that people who go on the bus are safe. And long term, it'd be making sure that it's safe to ride. As someone who rode the bus to College of the Redwoods for a semester, there were times where I did feel unsafe on the bus. So trying to work to make sure that it's safe for people to ride. Increasing routes, which I've heard a number of times, increasing routes and increasing times. So that way people can get to classes and also have stops near where they are. And clean up the bus stops, maybe do what Eureka's doing and have transients or homeless clean the bus stops themselves, and they get paid for the day's work. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, what do you feel are ways for the city to address climate change?
I think that clean transportation is going to be the wave of the future. We really need to invest in some kind of other way for people to get around. As I said before, transportation is 40% responsible for greenhouse gas emissions, and that is the number one thing that we need to tackle. We need to put like rental scooters, rental buses. I would love to see the plaza closed down to parked cars for at least 2 sides, and I would like to widen the bike lanes on the K Street Alliance Road to make it more accessible and attractive for people to ride their bicycles.
So we declared Arcata having a climate emergency, and then what? I feel like we kind of dropped the ball, and I think that it's time that we pick it up. We don't have till 2030 if we don't do something. We need to address the transportation disparities. That's going to go ahead and lower the greenhouse gases. One of the things that we do at the condominium that we have is a solar operated gas mower. So, you know, the little things do add up. We need to plant a lot of trees. The redwoods, when I first came here, Richardson Grove was what attracted me up to this place. And redwoods are one of the greatest climate carbon sequesters. So, you know, in addition to planting lots of trees, let's save our redwoods also. There are so many things. We have made sure that now instead of going to, when you're building a new development, it's all electric, so we're getting rid of gas. And I am way over my time, so I will.
I think that we should focus on going all electric on all of our city equipment, vehicles. Actually, there is an electric little vehicle that can be used for the parking meters. City of Santa Monica uses them all the time. I mean, they've had them for 10 years plus. So instead of having this little vehicle running around spewing exhaust, we could have an electric vehicle. Also, in that same vein, City of South Pasadena does not have any landscaping equipment within the city operated off of gas. It's all electric, city ordinance. And, you know, the landscapers just say, okay, I get an electric whatever when I go into that city. So one of the things about the landscaping equipment is it's 2-cycle, which is filthy on the order of diesel. On the order of a diesel motor. So, you know, getting rid of that would really help. Thanks.
I think some of the best ways the city can address climate change is new electric buses could also get ridership up potentially, but mostly in transportation. We need people to have clean solutions here. I know the state of California has incentives for people to put solar panels on their homes. Maybe the city could do something like that to further incentivize people. Yeah, just make sure everything the city's funding is, you can look at it and say, wow, this is as green as it possibly could be, and just try to do everything we can, try to encourage our citizens as much as possible, and just get ready for sea level rise and for what's happening. Plant trees, put more vegetation around town, and more, yeah.
So something that was brought up a lot tonight was housing. And Governor Newsom is requiring that all houses being built must have solar power panels built into the house and have a spot for electric cars. And if we're talking about building housing, we can do the same thing. We can require that they put them on there. And if we're building homes for our homeless folks, we can also put them on there as well to give electricity back to the city. We should also work on electric cars, electric bikes, and electric other things, and just incentivize people to take the bus or ride their bikes to work, whether it's a credit or if it's just a, hey, ride your bike to work day. Just make the community want to go for climate change, and they will. Thank you.
Well, climate change is a serious problem for our community. So I think, in my opinion, we can promote electric transportation by giving some tax incentive and having more parking station for electric vehicles. And number two, we can promote public ridership by promoting safer, reliable, free, and with Wi-Fi and technology available in the bus. So for example, our students traveling from HSU to Redwood College, they can do a lot of assignments. So it's safe, clean, and so they can use that. More bike lanes, so we can promote more bikers. We can, in the new housing permit, require maybe solar panel and city provide some incentive for publics for doing that. So then also we can work with the local business community to promote waste management, like, it's more environmental friendly waste management system. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next question. Are we on Kimberly now for the next one? Is that right? Next question, starting with Kimberly. Do you know of any conflicts of interest that will prevent you from participating in council business?
No, I have none.
Oh, yeah, no conflicts, thank you.
No conflicts of interest here.
Absolutely no conflicts of interest here.
I have no conflict of interest working in the city council.
I do work for Redwood Coast Energy Authority, which is a local JPA. I have talked to the city attorney as well as our CEA in general, and I do not feel like it's a conflict of interest. I think that it is valuable.
All right. Next question, starting with Paul. What improvements would you suggest to Valley West to enhance the area as a livable neighborhood and economic hub?
Well, in the last couple of years, I've been doing the cleanups there first Sunday of the month, 9 to 11. And I think the simplest one is to take the back of the buildings that are on Valley East, that have their backs to Valley East, the shopping center's backs, and start getting murals on those buildings. That's the ugliest place in town in my mind. So if you go around Valley West, the front of the stores, front of everything, and then Valley East, just these big, blank, ugly buildings, and tons of residents that have to live across that looking at them. So I think muralizing that whole area, that it must be 500 feet long and who knows how tall. So it could be really something pretty. Thank you.
Yeah, I think making a more livable neighborhood, just having more of a presence out there to help the houseless people out there, make sure that people are going out there with resources to help them, maybe transform a space into more of a park or put in more bike lanes and just make it easier for people to get around and have more art, more things people will want to look at instead of just being in a place that has a lot of trash or there's a bunch of people there sleeping there. I think, yeah, the best way is just to liven it up, bring some art, bring some people, plant some fruit trees, just get get the people out there, and then people will start using it, and it can naturally turn into a more livable place.
One thing that would be great to improve would be to build housing for the homeless that spend their time out there. Once you move them down to housing, you can start to clean up the area, you can start to make it look nice, you can include arts and parks and everything. But the first thing that needs to be addressed is moving those who are homeless into housing and then cleaning up the area. Thank you.
I think we can revitalize the community by replacing some of the old structure. Maybe city can give some incentives to the local residents to make this place more livable. We can have more public transportation access to the community. We can promote like maybe opportunity for business to be there, so that people have like more activities, and sanitation and waste management, like a lot of junkyards and other kind of things lying around and makes the cities the place so ugly. So if we do all of these things, I think we can make this place more livable and make it a hub for economic activities. People can buy things around. The new business can go there and start new business. So we can make this place more livable and increase the economic activities. Thank you.
I would definitely like to see Valley West become more of an economic hub. In that shopping center, there's some really great restaurants. I'd love to see more shops come in there. I'd really like to encourage businesses to go in there and create more of a destination for Valley West. I live, at the kind of introduction to Valley West, I guess you would say, and I know that the shopping center close to me is also almost empty, and I think that empty buildings just kind of attract unsavory aspects, and I think the most important thing is to fill up those empty storefronts with thriving businesses that people want to go to, and that will bring the more people down there. I think Carson Park and the work that Kuna is doing is amazing, and I think that's going to be a real hub for the community as well, and that's really important, is just giving that area an identity and having pride in it.
Thank you.
So you hit my passion. I'm a proud Valley West resident. I belong to CUNA, Comunidad Unida del Norte Arcata, which is Community North Arcata. There are so many things that we can do out there, and I'm going to talk fast because I'm watching that clock. So like Eureka, where they hire the unhoused, we can do the same, and it can clean up Valley West. Boyd Road Shelter, just a hop, skip, and a jump. Arcata owns Alder Grove property. We can put the unhoused in some temporary shelter. He mentioned the murals on the back of Valley East. We don't have to spend money for that. We have more artists per capita in Arcata, in Humboldt County. Tree beautification. I talked to former Mayor Susan Ornelas. We're going to be planting trees on Valley East. Baskets, like they do in McKinleyville, they're hanging down Central. It doesn't have to cost the city anything. I'll go out there and solicit people who will sponsor those beautiful flower baskets. We can change them up during the holidays, get Christmas lights. Community garden, farmers market, adopt more parks. We need an APD kiosk. We need a community center, e-bikes on the plaza, Valley West trash cleanup. We can be an economic hub. We can have food trucks and vendors.
All right, last question, and I lost track. Are we on Bennett now? All right. In your opinion, what are strategically important local organizations, and what would you do to develop partnerships between the city and those organizations?
We're lucky to live in a community with so many important organizations, and they're sorry. Yeah, I think some of the most important ones, the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club, Friends of the Arcata Marsh, just are so important that the city needs to be working with them, and I know that they are, but just have more of a presence, be a liaison to all these organizations, make sure they know that their voices can be heard through us and that they can always contact us and we need to be contacting them. And get out there, be in the streets, and make sure that we are there to support them. The bike library and so many others are essential services and things that our community needs. So just to be present out there and make sure they know we support them.
So there are a lot of important local organizations to work with, like the Planning Commission and like the Historical Society, the Friends of the Marsh. And what I would do to develop those partnerships is just call them up, ask them to coffee, and discuss what the City Council and they can do together to improve the city of Arcata. The only way to reach people is to talk to them. And if I can call them up and say, hey, I have time, I'd like to meet you and talk to you and see how the city can help you and how you can help the citizens of Arcata. Thank you.
Well, I think there are a lot of organizations around we can partner with, but most important organizations around here are Chamber of Commerce, so we can partner with them, HSU, CR, City of Eureka, and Small Development Center. So we can work with this organization and find something common interest, exchange ideas, and how can we make this city better? How can we help each other? So we can promote more business opportunities. We can promote city. We can have plan policies addressing some of the problems like, public transportation problems, housing problems, and also, climate change problems. So we have HSU nearby, and we have a really good program. We can get some benefit working with these things. So first of all, work with this institution and find the common interest we can work with. Thank you.
So as a board member of the Arcata Chamber of Commerce, I can say that right now the chamber has no council liaison, and I would like to take on that role because I feel like the chamber has so much to offer. I also think that the council should reevaluate the the local organizations that they partner with. I think we have so many great organizations such as 350 Humboldt. I think we should have a liaison with them. Cooperation Humboldt, I'm a core team member of Cooperation Humboldt, and they are doing such amazing things around workforce development, food security, infrastructure, and I think that's really important to have a place at the table with them. I think that we need to definitely be involved with Black Humboldt, with Queer Humboldt, and I think that they need to see council representation at their meetings as well. The SBDC, the AEDC.
What she said. No. We have a lot of partnerships that we could really capitalize on. There's a myriad of housing partnerships that we seem to have duplication of efforts, and we're not communicating with each other. So I'd like to see us get all together and have a stakeholder group of all of the housing, and we would be able to, do better. We need to partner with our Latinx community, like CUNA. There's over a half dozen. We need to partner with the SBCDC, which is the foundation program at HSU. We need to partner with the artist organizations. We need to partner with HSU. We also need to partner with 350 Humboldt Epic. We need to partner with all of the environmental organizations that we have here. Cooperation Humboldt, Rotary, Toastmasters. Teach people how to communicate so that they can step up and have something to offer. Black Humboldt, Equity. The list goes on. Humboldt Area Foundation has a myriad of organizations just under them. We would find a whole bunch of grant opportunities that way too.
Yeah, the list could be gigantic. The ones that came up to me that I think we actually need a liaison for would be Cooperation Humboldt, CUNA, Arcata House Partnership, and the Chamber doesn't have a liaison. It normally did. Main Street And then, actually, do we have an active liaison person to these organizations? I think that it's important that we have that, and we reevaluate where are we using our council members for. Are they liaisoning to something that's not real valuable when they could be with another organization, especially like with new ones like Cooperation Humboldt that I don't believe we have a liaison with, and CUNA. So really just making sure that we actually have representation at all them, and especially associated students.
All right, thank you, everybody. Now we will come back to the council, and the council will ask any questions they have individually to follow up on any of your answers. And let's go and start with, how about Councilmember Atkins-Salazar?
I actually don't have any further questions, but thank you all. We appreciate it and can all very much sympathize with how it feels to be in your seat. So thank you for being here.
I had a question that I wanted to address to Mr. Ponta here. I wrote it down, let me find it. You talked a lot about wanting to grow Arcata and that, you know, believing that the population is currently declining. However, how could you support that growth currently with the current lack of housing and lack of services, and what ideas do you have to support that growth of Arcata that you are passionately talking about?
Well, that's a very good question. First of all, I come from bigger cities, and I always find bigger city has a lot of resources to support the community. So when I came over here, yeah, we talk about, you know, we have housing crisis. It's very hard to find the builders here because we have small builders, because big builders, they don't see the opportunity over here. They don't come here. So the problem is, even though a lot of people think, you know, a lot of people are migrating to this place because, you know, opportunity for working out from outside, but that's not happening. And to promote local business, we need people to support that, to buy the product. So we need to attract more people. Maybe, you know, some of the cities I read in the news, like they give incentives to the movers, like maybe 3 years tax break, like property tax break, things like that. So we definitely need to bring more people, but for that, we need to come up with a plan. How can we increase more housing opportunities? Can we promote local business, like building more houses? Maybe we can partner with them, provide the resources, the place for, you know, maybe some kind of support we can provide them so they can build more houses. So that will support the community. And automatically, you know, we have more population, a lot of business will come here, they will pay tax. Our city is going to have more resources, so we can spend money on enriching the community. Otherwise, you know, if we just let it happen, like I can see, like 95% of our high school graduates, they leave the city and they never come back. So how can we keep on sustaining on like that? We need to do something. We need to attract people so that everything, business, institution, they can grow, because we have people, we have opportunities. That's my thought process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, I don't, but thank you all so much.
Yeah, and I helped come up with all the questions, so I think any question I have has already been asked tonight. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Now we're go ahead.
Ask the question.
Of course.
Address everybody. Is that okay?
Sure.
Or is it okay? I would just like, and this could be timed, I guess, too, but just a little simple more background from everybody of basically what your connection to Arcata is and why you care enough about Arcata to want to be on the city council. And I know some of your candidate statements might have explained that, but I would just like a little more insight from each of you of just why you care about Arcata enough to want to do this job.
Yeah, where did we leave off
I think
in answering?
Caitlin?
Okay, right.
So I came to Arcata in 2019 out of getting out of the Army. And coming to the community, I felt welcomed. It felt like home. which is funny because I came from Reading, and I always said that I would never go back to a small town, and I ended up in a much smaller town. I love the people. I love the farmers market every Sunday or every Saturday. I love all the crazy events. I love going to the Crabs game. My partner's with the band, and I love sitting with them and listening to them play. And because of that welcoming and that kind of home feeling, I want to spend my time, this short 16 months, giving back and doing what I can to improve Arcata, to give back the welcome that they gave me. Thank you.
Well, that's a really great question. I moved from Georgia in 2019. Then the COVID came. I was looking at an opportunity to serve the community. I used to go to high school and educate children for financial education, how to start investing for your future. We always teach them, okay, go to college, do this and that. We never teach them about money. So that was I used to do that a lot of times whenever I have free time. Coming to Arcata, I see a lot of opportunities. I have expertise in accounting, finance, planning. I have worked for the government. And I think, city council is the best place for me to serve the community. I really didn't get a venue to serve the community. I'm just looking for that opportunity. I think, personally speaking, I can make a meaningful contribution to the city and the people in Arcata. Thank you.
I think a lot of you have heard my Arcata origin story, but when I first moved to Arcata from Orleans, I was a single mother. I was making $16 an hour, and I still had privilege, right? I was still a white woman that had support from her family. My children are Native American. They're enrolled tribal Karuk members. When I was living in Orleans, I taught Karuk students that are now at HSU. I really want to be a role model for those kids. And something that's very, very important to me is mentorship. And I want to show those people that are unrepresented that they have a voice, and I want to be able to provide a conduit to bring them to a table. And, as I moved and got more comfortable in Arcata, and I joined the EDC, and then I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and then I became a core member of Cooperation Humboldt, all those things put me on the path to be able to give back to my community. Thank you.
So I think I mentioned when I was a little girl, my dad told me about this magical place, and it was Richardson Grove. And then I heard there was a university, and that brought me here. I've been here 30 years. I'm not going anywhere. I'm raising my daughter here. I've built relationships here, and when I first came here as a student, I moved into a place on Spear Avenue called the World Peace House. And it's just like what it sounds. There was an old hippie bus, and everybody that I knew was into the environment. And that's what brought me here. That's what's keeping me here. And that's what's driving me right now. Right now, we are in a climate emergency, and I think that we need to go back to our roots. Arcata used to be, we're a different Arcata right now. And I don't want to be a downer, but I'd like to revive that Arcata that I came to. We were kind of this Berkeley-ish, back in the 60s. And we had those values and ideals that, I came here for. And my time is up.
Yeah, I have a little tape, people say, why do you live here? And I go, small town, under 25,000 people, with a university in Northern California. And this is it. It's the only one. I didn't pick Arcata. I just had that criteria, and I ended up here because of that. I'd spent 10 years in Ukiah, and I know what it is to live in a place that has a bar and a bowling alley and not much else. I think that everything I need is in Arcata. And if it isn't there, I'll talk to people and we'll figure out how to get it here. And when I look at the community, I have to look at a mirror and I say, if I don't like something, what is it about me that is making that unlikable? So I'm happy here. I love to serve on the council. I've done transportation safety and whatever other stuff. So thank you for the opportunity.
I came here to go to HSU, and then I had the opportunity to stay in the area and actually get a job as a biologist out here, and I couldn't be more grateful. This is just such a special place, and the second I got here, I just started meeting the people, and with my first day, some lady gave me a bag full of peaches, and I was like, what is this place? And it was incredible, and then I fell in love with it. It has everything you need. We have the crabs, we have live music coming to town, we have the most incredible nature in the world. We're so close to so many awesome spots. It's just such an incredible place, and I saw that City Council needed someone, and I said, I love this place, so I might as well get out there and try to do my best to keep it as magical as it is.
Thank you, everyone. So now we will move on to closing statements. So you have 2 minutes to provide a closing statement, and we'll go ahead and start with you whenever you're ready.
Sorry. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Really enjoyed being here, answering all the questions. So I've been here in Arcata for the last 2 years, and I plan to stay for much longer. I'm looking for an opportunity to serve the community, not only teaching our students, but also, some other places like, school board, local chamber of commerce, Rotary Club, and also, I'm planning to be the state coordinator for the Blood Donor Association. So I'm involved in this blood donation, and that's the organization we have set up several years ago. And I thought, being the community member, being the faculty at Humboldt State, I can contribute to the community, my expertise in accounting, finance, planning. I have been involved in preparing policies and plan in Planning Commission. Originally, I'm from Nepal. I worked for the government for 5 years. I was the advisor for the minister. I work as advisor for the local mayor, providing all these planning and tax advice. So I thought I can really contribute to the community, being involved in city council. Also, I always promote equity, diversity, inclusion in any decision-making place we are. Even in my class, I practice that a lot. And I think it's a great privilege for me being a faculty of color, serving in the community, and providing my expertise to grow the city, to make a better decision for the city that helps the living of the population in Arcata, the people in Arcata. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that every decision that we make as a city council has to hit the triple bottom line, right? It's people, planet, and prosperity. And I really think that we need to take all those things into consideration for every decision that we make. My philosophy is servant leadership, which means having empathy and listening and being attentive and healing. I truly believe that everybody has a voice to bring to the table, and we need to, we have a responsibility to make sure that everybody is represented. So my faith has a phrase called Tikkun Olam, and what that means is healing the world. And I really believe that we have a responsibility to kind of infuse that into every facet of what we do. We need to work together to touch on climate change, to diversity and inclusion, and making sure that everybody feels connected to us and to each other. I feel like all of the committees and the work I've done has been very deliberate into getting me to the place where I feel like I'm the best candidate for this position. I have a business background. I also work with Cooperation Humboldt that is a big promotion of diversity and equity. I've helped my company write our racial justice plan, and I will be taking over the subcommittee for the board members for that moving forward. And I feel like I have an amazing rapport with all the local businesses and a lot of the local community. Thank you.
So, as far as I know, in the history of City Council, we've never had anybody represent Valley West. I've been out there for 17 years. I've lived in Arcata for 30. You know, as I said, it's often the first place that prospective students and families see, and tourists. And if we don't do something out there, unfortunately, like this gentleman said, he almost kept going. I'm really glad he stayed, but I want to make sure that nobody keeps going, that they make this is a magical place, and I want them to stay. I bring to the table my passion as a planning commissioner, a program evaluator. I'm leading organizations in community change, my community advocacy, my passion for equity and social justice, as you know, that permeates through everything from housing to climate change. I will lead through conflict using my skills of dispute resolution and mediation. I will take my lead from the constituents to return the government to the people, by the people. Arcata is a unique place to live. I'd like to preserve the values and the ideals that make Arcata special, and the reason that we've all chosen to live here in this incredible place that's nestled in the redwoods and on the coast. So I hope that you choose me, and whether appointed or not, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep advocating for the Valley West Committee. I'm going to continue on the Planning Commission. I'm going to continue with CUNA. I'm going to continue on CERT, the COVID Emergency Response Team Housing Committee, and on the other committee that I'm working on right now, also in housing. I'm going to continue trying to make the connections with the Latinx community. I'm going to continue to try to make those connections between HSU, and I would be honored to serve on the, I absolutely love you guys, so yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know, I feel like I already made a closing statement, but I'm going to go jump into it again. Like I said, I moved here because of wanting to live in NorCal and wanting to live in a small town, and not wanting to be isolated, meaning living in a town that didn't have a university or something that brought new people in. Humboldt brings in 1,000, 2,000 people a year, and so we get new ideas, new people, and I can plagiarize all the stuff they bring with them. And I don't have anything specific that I say, oh, it's not like a campaign where I have a list and says, I want the dog park, I want the homeless camp, blah, 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 blah. I feel like I've got that list, but that's not what this position is about in my mind. There's a space to be filled. I'll always have a list, and it's, staff knows, endless. I feel like it's a chance for me I wasn't looking for, that is a place for me to give the value that I've gotten serving on the Transportation Safety Committee for 8 years and 10 years on the council, and then doing individual activism in between times that I was on council. When I realized my neighborhood park was torn up, I just sat on it until we got it rebuilt. And I know that I can do activism, I can be on council, I would like to do this, and it doesn't mean that I won't ever help in any other way if I'm not on. Now I can't read my notes. I think that for me, I'm happy, I love this place, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep it coming up. Thanks.
I know I've been pretty awkward up here. I'm super nervous, but I'm a wildlife biologist, which is a good thing for the city to be thinking about. But I'm just going to read off my list of things that I think are important for the city. Definitely, I've said it again, I'll say it again. Housing, so important, safe place for people to camp, people to park their cars. The incredible need for medical professionals is ridiculous. Try to incentivize more doctors to come here and people so you don't have to book your doctor's appointment that's going to be in November in May. We need to be getting ready for climate change and doing everything we can to be more green and get people biking, get people using reusable stuff. We need to fund the food banks, make sure people are getting fed and have all the resources they can. Inspire people, more citizen science. You know, Godwit Day is an incredible event, but get people out there so people care and are outside and doing stuff like that. We need more public restrooms, free tampons at the high school, support the bike library, get people out there. We need lights at the skate park. We need more community events, maybe look into industrial compost. And I'm 25, I saw this opportunity, and I think it's super important for youth to be involved in government. And I know that there's probably not that many people watching this, and it's regardless, but we just need to be engaged and get everybody on the table so then we can all come together and fix our problems and keep this community great. Thank you.
Last, that's a scary position to be in. Hopefully you guys remember me. I want to thank you guys for your time. I appreciate this. I know it's a Wednesday night. I know the time and the term is very short. It's 16 months. And so I would like to focus on some more short-term goals rather than long-term. One of the things I would like to do is get both students, young people more involved, whether that's more town halls, that's going to the schools, that's setting up in a classroom at HSU and just having people come talk to me. Second, I think that Arcata needs to get the jump on HSU becoming a polytech and start planning now so we're not chasing our feet later. Some of the ways we can do that, again, is more town halls, more talking to the public, more social media, more of those things to bring people in. And lastly, and probably the most important one, is COVID recovery. As much as I'd like to say it's going to be done in 3-4 months, the likelihood of that is small. So I want to work with the council to put in place a COVID recovery plan so we can start to get ahead of this and start having people wear masks and start getting vaccinated and all those things. Lastly, I know that the council gets a small stipend each month. And one of the things that I want to do personally, if appointed, is take 50% of that stipend each month and donate it to a local organization or charity. And to involve the public more, I would like to hold an Instagram poll and have the public decide where that money is donated to. Again, I would very much like to be involved in the city council. This is my absolute dream, and this is my goal someday, to work in local government and to help people. Again, thank you guys for your time, and hope you all pick me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. So yeah, right now we're going to take a short break and kind of change our seating, and we'll come back and we will take public comment.
How about a nice round of applause for our candidates? Not easy.
right.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the meeting. At this time, we will take comments from the public. So if we have any members of the public that would like to make public comment on tonight's forum, please come up to the podium.
And we'll remind you, if you're logging in via Zoom and would like to make public comment on tonight's item, which is our council candidate forum, raise your hand on the right-hand side of your screen, or if you have called in via phone, you can press *9 now on your phone to raise your hand. When it is your turn to speak from Zoom, we will unmute you and invite you to speak. Speakers will have 2 minutes. We'll have 2 minutes.
My name's Joanne Mcgarry, also known as McGreta, and because of the urgency of so many issues in our community, I would hope that sooner as opposed to later, this council makes a decision on appointing the 5th person. So if you're at all swayed one way or the other, I would like for you to make a decision soon. Thank you.
Do we have any other members of the public that would like to make public comment?
Oz of Plaza Point, Arcata. We really need a full representation of the community, and the more members, the full city council, all filled as soon as possible. And 16 months is a good time to evaluate. I remember when Brent was selected and the community got a chance to see his activity on the council, and we appreciate that so that we can evaluate as voters what to do. There's so many issues coming at us so quick. We've got to go. Thank you.
Well, all right, well,
I would like to take my time to thank all the candidates. Great job. I've been there with you and you all last November, and I know how tough it is to get in front of everybody and address all the topics that were discussed this evening. And I'd like to commend each and every one of you for your time and for coming out here and you know, going for it. You're all doing a great job. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? All right.
We have one on Zoom.
Okay.
And Oscar, go ahead. Oscar, go ahead. We'll try one more. We'll just raise him up to participant level. Let's see if he comes in. Oscar, can you hear us? Looks like he is connecting. Hold on just a second here. All right, Oscar, go ahead and unmute yourself. And go ahead.
Unmuted now. Can you guys hear me? Am I being heard? Can you guys hear me now?
Oscar, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm speaking.
Perfect.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead and start over.
Okay. So, had a pretty awesome day. A lot of the awesome work and things that I've seen in this community be, you know, really coming into fruition. I greatly part to the new energy that the city council has had in this last new term, in support with Karen Deemer as well as Brett Watson, really shifting focus into what community resilience can look like and what we need to do to be prepared as a community to make sure that we are ready and prepared for the shift, meaning new residents, new people checking out this part of California. Previously, it's been ignored. And I think a great part of why, and we can all, and many of us may be able to agree on why a part like Arcata may be ignored in the past, would be subject to the current condition that the Valley West community and neighborhood is at the moment. I am asking this question to make sure that when we decide collectively as a community who is best to fill this position, that we consider where we already have representation, where someone wakes up and walks the streets and goes to the store already and where they are on council, and whoever we bring onto council, to see how much support does this person have, this person who's running, who is here for them and why, where is the status quo and anyone who's attending, and where do the people so whoever we're bringing on, where do they walk, what do they see, what do they experience, and who are the community members that they touch and who they've been connecting with. In my experience, and I can only speak from what I know, I've been working closely with Kimberly White, who has recognition in the Valley West community and neighborhood, and that has brought her closer to Kuna.
Oscar,
as an
sorry, but your time is up.
Okay, well, I think that's fine. It's okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, we do have, we're going to see how this works that was our first ever hybrid Zoom caller. Thank you, Oscar, for being our first. All right, Bob, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm unmuted now. Hi, Bob Rottenberg, live here in Arcata. I also want to commend you for this forum and urge you to move quickly to fill the empty seat. And to look for somebody from the 6 people who were there this evening, somebody who, in your opinion, will be able to most easily work with the rest of you to achieve the goals, the short-term goals of the city. So you have a good choice there. But I'm not sure that all of them will be able to really just jump right in and help you move Arcata's agenda forward. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to comment.
All right, thank you, Bob. Carice, you'll have 2 minutes. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Hi there. My name is Carice Geronimo. I'm speaking as a resident of Arcata. First, thank you to all the candidates for your interest and sharing your ideas about what the city could be better at. I just have a really short statement to express my support for Kimberly White and Meredith Klein. I have a lot of appreciation for their strategies in terms of the business development and sustainability goals that they outlined, and would just like to lift their voices in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Althea, you'll have 2 minutes. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello there. I am not a resident of Arcata, but I am a member of the community in Humboldt County, and I know Kimberly White through my church and the church that my father attended before he died, and I just wanted to express my support for her. I have known her for a little while and just found her to be a very community-minded and kind and generous person, and who's really committed to Arcata and especially to Valley West, because I don't feel that Valley West is very well represented a lot of the time. So I just wanted to voice my support for her and encourage you to choose her for Arcata City Council. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And that is all the public comment we have from Zoom.
I have a public comment.
Yeah, come on up.
I'd like to thank the council for, can you guys hear me?
I'd like to thank the council for hearing me. My name is Brennan Burke Martin. I'm a lifelong resident of Arcata. I came here tonight, although I missed part of the meeting because I was working. I wanted to support Paul Patino for city council because I think he's, although we have a slew of people that are well qualified and have a lot to offer to the city, I think Paul's the only person that actually received votes in this last election and has the experience needed to step in right away and carry us forward with the progress I think we've seen with the city so far. So I just wanted to come publicly express my support for Paul. And I hope you guys make the right decision. Thank you.
All right, any other members of the public like to comment? All right, we'll bring it back to the council. Do we have any further thoughts, questions, or comments from the council right now?
Just a quick correction. I appreciate the last public comment, but Kimberly also ran in the last election. Just wanted to point that out. Thank you. So
now we decide if we want to vote on this evening, and so see how the council feels. We can vote on it this evening. We can also bring it back tomorrow evening or Friday evening if we want more time to think about it. So just see how everybody feels.
I feel comfortable at least starting that voting process, right? I think that was an option to start the ranked choice and then maybe see where we feel. But I feel comfortable starting that process tonight.
Same. Yeah, I feel ready to start.
I agree.
All right, so let's go ahead and begin.
Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to pass out a candidate ranking sheet to each of the council members, and you're asked to rank your top 3. So. All right, so that's the initial ranking. What I will do over here is I will just, if there's a blank space, I'll just put it in a 4. Maybe Hamnat will tell me I've done this all wrong. But so the blank spaces will be counted as a 4. And load number will, your lower numbers would have, a higher consistency for all of you. Nobody yelled, thank you. Yeah, Karen, yeah. So with this particular ranking, your lowest number is with Meredith Matthews Klein, followed by Paul Patino, and then Kimberly White. You had 2 candidates that 4 of you ranked in your top 3. And you had 2 candidates that 2 of you ranked in your top 3. So. So at this point, you can think about it. You can have discussion about it. When we did this last, we did do another round of voting, which I just took the top 3 candidates, if you decided on those, and then the council just ranked 1 and 2 and did the exercise again. But I turn it back to you.
Yeah, I'll just say I just really appreciate everyone participating. I know it's challenging. I was in that exact same position myself, and I know it's not easy. I think everybody, did a good job, and there is an election next year in November if you still have an interest in running. So, how do we feel? Do we want to go with our top 3? Do we want to have more discussion? We can think about it.
What does discussion look like? Do we argue for certain candidates?
You can if you want.
Well, I mean, I feel like we probably could come to a decision this evening. At least, it seems like, that's reasonable. Since the person that we will be working with will be, a colleague for all of us, it seems like it would be better to do another kind of ranking or just pick rather than have the discussion. Although, if that's the way you guys, other members want to do it, I'm fine too. I'm just trying to think of for the future and for going forward, what will be, the best for us as a team for the person who gets selected.
Yeah, I think it makes probably most sense to do another ranking because now we have a semi-clear top 3, but it does, appear the way the rankings fell that 2 council members chose somebody that neither of the others did choose. I guess that kind of went with both ways, but I think possibly just redoing that ranking and then seeing where we fall with those top 3, and then if more discussion is necessary, could, produce our best result this evening.
All right, so we're going to vote again, but just on the top 3. Everyone's in agreement?
I think
All right.
that works for me.
And is Kimberly your 3rd? Just confirming.
Yeah, it looks like Meredith, Paul, and Kimberly.
I'm going to do this by first name just to speed it up a little for you.
Anybody have any jokes? No.
Yeah, it is.
Who's winning? Where's our crabs update?
Who got the most votes in the last election?
All right, so in this one, you'll just vote for your top 2.
All right, we've got we'll give the city manager a moment.
It's a nice sunset tonight.
Yeah, it is.
Smoke. No. I mean, sorry, on your camera. No.
So for Meredith, we have a 2, and we have a 1 for Kimberly. We have a 1 for Meredith, a 2 for Paul. I have a 1 for Paul, a 2 for Kimberly. We have a 1 for Meredith, a 2 for Paul.
Blanks are going to be counted as a 3. We have very qualified candidates, and it is
Yeah.
very close.
Yeah. So yeah, we can have a discussion. We can go with the person who's at the lowest score, or the highest score, really, and it's really whatever the council wants to do. We can take a day to think about it. I'm really open to, just my opinion, I'm really open to what the council wants to do. I don't have a, I always prefer to, being able to sleep on big decisions. But I'm also fine with making a decision this evening.
This is a tough one because I want to ask more questions because it's hard for me just seeing up there two people that put a lot of effort into running in the last election, and I want to ask the question, which we didn't get to ask tonight. Would you be planning on running again in 2022? I know I can't ask that, and maybe you guys can nod your heads at me.
Why
No.
not? Yeah, no, it's okay. If you'd like to, we can do that.
Yeah, if you would like to invite three candidates up and ask additional questions, this is your process tonight, and you shall feel free to do so.
Yeah, and just, because I know a few people made comment tonight that, and we received emails, people saying that they would be happy with just serving that 60 months, but, seeing such close numbers and also seeing two people that did run in our last election and were also both very close in number in that election, just, knowing that we are, looking at November 2022 as another opportunity for people to be involved, just, if that would be something that is in your wheelhouse that you're planning on, whether even you're appointed or not, I think is kind of an important consideration, at least for me, to take into account with this decision.
So how about Meredith, would you please come up to the podium?
Say yes.
Okay. And Kimberly? How about Kimberly? Okay.
It's kind of a hard thing to answer right off because I don't know in a year from now whether I would want to run again, since I've run a bunch of times. And yet, I get in and it's comfortable. Yeah, I'd run. I don't know. It's a real hard thing for me to say what I'm going to do a year from now. So I appreciate you asking it. I don't know really actually how to answer that. So.
Do you have any other questions any council members would like to ask the candidates?
I mean, from a process standpoint, I'm looking at the numbers, and in the overalls, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Meredith came in first, and then Paul, and then Kimberly overall, and then when we just sat down to redo this again, it still fell the same way. So to me, that speaks to an answer. So I guess I'm ready to move forward with the decision. That's my answer.
So at this point, again, it's whatever we want to do. If we want to move forward, your council member is welcome to make a motion.
Well, I'll do it and see what happens. So I would like to nominate Meredith Matthews for the term that's ending in 2022.
So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second? So typically, in Arcata, in the way our protocol manual states, the mayor does not make a motion or a second. The thinking being that if the mayor has to make a motion or a second, there probably isn't a third vote. So seeing that we would not have a third vote, I would say that the motion fails.
Okay, So now what's the next?
I mean, we don't have a second, I'm sorry. We don't have a second, yeah.
Okay. So then should we set a date and time for our decision?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how much time do you guys want? You want to come back tomorrow evening?
That is the only time I can come back, unless it's late Friday night, and then I'm leaving. And I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
No, so I can do it. I can do it tomorrow.
And yeah, you know, and I guess just if we don't agree, then the alternative is to do a special election. So we can keep that in mind as well.
Can I second Stacy's motion? Still? Is it dead? Is it dead?
No,
Did
sure.
I miss my chance?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to second Stacy's motion.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Congratulations, Meredith. You're a council member. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.
Can we take a picture or something?